In the days when judges ruled over Israel, there was a famine in the land of Judah. The fields that once waved with golden grain now lay barren and dusty. In the town of Bethlehem, which ironically means house of bread, there was no bread to be found. A man named Elimelech made a difficult decision. He gathered his wife Naomi and their two sons, Mahlon and Chilion, and they left their homeland. They journeyed to the country of Moab, a foreign land east of the Dead Sea, hoping to find food and a better life. In Moab, life seemed to begin anew. Elimelech's sons grew into young men and married Moabite women. Mahlon married a gentle young woman named Ruth, while Chilion married her friend Orpah. For about 10 years, they built their lives together in this foreign land. In Moab, life seemed to begin anew. Elimelech's sons grew into young men and married Moabite women. Mahlon married a gentle young woman named Ruth, while Chilion married her friend Orpah. For about 10 years, they built their lives together in this foreign land. But then tragedy struck. First, Elimelech died, leaving Naomi a widow in a strange land. Then, in a cruel twist of fate, both of her sons died as well, leaving behind their young wives. Now 3 widows stood together, their future as uncertain as the wind. In those ancient times, women without husbands or sons had no security, no inheritance, and no protection. They were among the most vulnerable people in society. Naomi heard that the Lord had provided food for his people back in Judah. The famine had ended. She decided to return to Bethlehem, to her people, to whatever small hope might remain for her there. Her 2 daughters-in-law began the journey with her, walking the dusty road that would take them away from Moab. As they walked together, Naomi's heart grew heavy. She stopped and turned to face Ruth and Orpah. With tears in her eyes, she spoke words that must have cost her dearly. "Go back, each of you, to your mother's home. May the Lord show kindness to you, as you have shown to your dead husbands and to me. May the Lord grant that each of you will find rest in the home of another husband." She kissed them goodbye, and all 3 women wept aloud. They clung to each other, these 3 souls bound by love and loss. Orpah and Ruth both protested. "We will go back with you to your people," they insisted. But Naomi, thinking of their future, urged them again. "Return home, my daughters. Why would you come with me? Am I going to have any more sons who could become your husbands?" Her voice broke with emotion. "Go back, my daughters. I am too old to have another husband. Even if I could, even if I had sons tonight, would you wait for them to grow up? No, my daughters. My life is more bitter than yours, because the Lord's hand has turned against me." Again they wept together. Finally, Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye and turned back toward Moab, back to the familiar, back to what she knew. But Ruth clung to Naomi. "Look," Naomi said, watching Orpah's figure grow smaller in the distance. "Your sister-in-law is going back to her people and her gods. Go back with her." What Ruth said next would echo through generations, becoming one of the most beautiful declarations of loyalty ever spoken. "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if even death separates you and me." Ruth, a Moabite woman, was choosing to leave everything she knew, her homeland, her people, her gods, her chance at remarrying among her own people, to follow Naomi into uncertainty. She was choosing loyalty over security, love over logic. When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her to return. Together, the 2 widows made the long journey to Bethlehem. When they arrived in Bethlehem, the whole town was stirred. Women came out, staring in surprise. "Can this be Naomi?" they asked. The woman they remembered had left with a husband and 2 sons. Now she returned with nothing but a foreign daughter-in-law and a heart full of grief. "Don't call me Naomi," she told them. Naomi meant pleasant. "Call me Mara," which meant bitter, because the Almighty has made my life very bitter. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. They arrived in Bethlehem just as the barley harvest was beginning, and though Naomi couldn't see it yet, this timing was the first thread of God's redemptive plan. Ruth and Naomi had no food and no income. But Ruth was not one to sit idle. She said to Naomi, "Let me go to the fields and pick up the leftover grain behind anyone in whose eyes I find favor." According to God's law, Farmers were commanded to leave the edges of their fields unharvested and not to pick up grain that fell to the ground, so that the poor and foreigners could gather it. It was backbreaking work, following behind the harvesters under the hot sun, bending again and again to pick up individual stalks of grain. Ruth went out and began gleaning in the fields. As it happened, or as God arranged it, she found herself working in a field belonging to a man named Boaz, who was a relative of Naomi's late husband Elimelech. Boaz arrived from Bethlehem and greeted his workers. "The Lord be with you." They replied, "The Lord bless you." He was clearly a man of godly character. Boaz noticed Ruth working among the others. "Who is that young woman?" he asked his foreman. The foreman replied, "She is the Moabite who came back from Moab with Naomi. She asked permission to glean and gather among the sheaves. She has been working steadily from morning till now, except for a short rest." Boaz approached Ruth with remarkable kindness. "My daughter, listen to me. Don't go and glean in another field, and don't go away from here. Stay here with the women who work for me. Watch the field where the men are harvesting, and follow along after the women. I have told the men not to lay a hand on you. And whenever you are thirsty, go and get a drink from the water jars the men have filled." Ruth bowed down with her face to the ground. "Why have I found such favor in your eyes that you notice me, a foreigner?" she asked. Boaz answered, "I've been told all about what you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, how you left your father and mother and your homeland and came to live with a people you did not know before. May the Lord repay you for what you have done. May you be richly rewarded by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." Ruth's faithfulness to Naomi had not gone unnoticed. Her reputation had spread throughout Bethlehem. At mealtime, Boaz invited Ruth to share the workers' food. He gave her roasted grain, and she ate until she was satisfied and had some left over. When she returned to work, Boaz instructed his men to deliberately pull out stalks from the bundles and leave them for her to pick up. That evening, Ruth returned to Naomi with an extraordinary amount of grain, about an ephah, or roughly 30 pounds of barley. She also shared the roasted grain Boaz had given her. "Where did you glean today?" Naomi asked in amazement. "Blessed be the man who took notice of you." When Ruth told her about Boaz, Naomi's eyes filled with tears of hope for the first time in years. "The Lord bless him," she exclaimed. "He has not stopped showing his kindness to the living and the dead." Then she explained, "That man is our close relative. He is one of our guardian redeemers." A guardian redeemer, or kinsman redeemer, was a male relative who had the responsibility to help family members in need, which could include marrying a widow to preserve the family line. Ruth continued to glean in Boaz's fields through the barley and wheat harvests. As the harvest season drew to a close, Naomi formed a plan. It was bold, even risky, but it followed the customs of their culture. "My daughter," Naomi said to Ruth, "I must find a home for you, where you will be well provided for. Tonight Boaz will be winnowing barley on the threshing floor. Wash, put on perfume, and get dressed in your best clothes. Then go down to the threshing floor, but don't let him know you are there until he has finished eating and drinking. When he lies down, note the place where he is lying. Then go and uncover his feet and lie down. He will tell you what to do." Ruth's response showed her continued trust. "I will do whatever you say." That night, after Boaz had finished eating and drinking and was in good spirits, he went to lie down at the far end of the grain pile. Ruth quietly approached, uncovered his feet, and lay down. In the middle of the night, Boaz woke with a start and discovered a woman lying at his feet. "Who are you?" he asked. "I am your servant Ruth," she said. "Spread the corner of your garment over me, since you are a guardian redeemer of our family." She was essentially proposing marriage, asking him to fulfill his role as kinsman redeemer. Boaz's response revealed his godly character and his admiration for Ruth. "The Lord bless you, my daughter. This kindness is greater than that which you showed earlier. You have not run after the younger men, whether rich or poor. And now, my daughter, don't be afraid. I will do for you all you ask. All the people of my town know that you are a woman of noble character." However, there was a complication. Boaz explained that there was another guardian redeemer more closely related to Naomi than he was, and that man had the first right to redeem. "If he wants to do his duty as your guardian redeemer, good, let him redeem you. But if he is not willing, as surely as the Lord lives, I will do it." Ruth stayed at his feet until morning, leaving before anyone could recognize her. Boaz filled her shawl with 6 measures of barley, saying, "Don't go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed." The next morning, Boaz went to the town gate, the place where legal matters were settled. The other guardian redeemer happened to come by, and Boaz called him over. He gathered 10 elders of the town to serve as witnesses. Boaz explained the situation. Naomi was selling the piece of land that belonged to Elimelech, and the guardian redeemer had the right to buy it. "I will redeem it," the man said quickly. Land was valuable. Then Boaz added the crucial detail. "On the day you buy the land from Naomi, you also acquire Ruth the Moabite, the dead man's widow, in order to maintain the name of the dead with his property." The man's tone changed completely. "Then I cannot redeem it because I might endanger my own estate. You redeem it yourself. I cannot do it." Taking Ruth as wife would mean that any children would inherit the land in the name of her first husband, not his own name. To seal the transaction, the man took off his sandal and gave it to Boaz, a sign of transferring rights. Boaz announced to the elders and all the people, "Today you are witnesses that I have bought from Naomi all the property of Elimelech, Chilion, and Mahlon. I have also acquired Ruth the Moabite, Mahlon's widow, as my wife, in order to maintain the name of the dead with his property." The elders and all the people at the gate said, "We are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who is coming into your home like Rachel and Leah, who together built up the family of Israel. May you have standing in Ephrathah and be famous in Bethlehem. Through the offspring the Lord gives you by this young woman. May your family be like that of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah." So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. The Lord enabled her to conceive, and she gave birth to a son. The women of Bethlehem said to Naomi, "Praise be to the Lord, who this day has not left you without a guardian redeemer. May he become famous throughout Israel. He will renew your life and sustain you in your old age. For your daughter-in-law, who loves you and who is better to you than 7 sons, has given him birth." Naomi took the child in her arms and cared for him. The women said, "Naomi has a son," and they named him Obed. But the story doesn't end there. The Book of Ruth concludes with a genealogy that reveals something extraordinary. Obed became the father of Jesse, and Jesse became the father of David. Ruth, the Moabite widow who chose loyalty over security, who left everything to follow Naomi and her God, became the great-grandmother of King David and an ancestor of Jesus Christ himself. The bitter widow who returned to Bethlehem empty was now a grandmother, surrounded by love and family. The foreign girl who gleaned in the fields became a matriarch of Israel. The story that began with death and loss ended with life and redemption. This beautiful story teaches us powerful truths that remain relevant today. First, loyalty is precious and powerful. Ruth's famous declaration to Naomi, "Where you go, I will go," shows us that true loyalty means staying committed even when it costs us something. Ruth gave up her homeland, her people, and her security to stay with Naomi. In our world today, where commitment is often conditional and loyalty is rare, Ruth reminds us that faithfulness to our relationships honors God and builds character. Second, kindness creates ripples of blessing. Every character in this story shows kindness. Ruth to Naomi, Boaz to Ruth, Naomi guiding Ruth. These acts of kindness didn't just help in the moment, they changed the course of history. Our small acts of kindness today may have impacts we never see or imagine. Third, God works through our faithfulness. Ruth didn't know that her loyalty to Naomi would place her in the lineage of Christ. She simply did what was right, one day at a time. She gleaned in the fields, trusted Naomi's guidance, and honored God. The Lord took her faithfulness and wove it into his grand plan of redemption. We may not see how God is working in our difficult seasons, but he is always present, always faithful, always working things together for good. Fourth, our past doesn't determine our future. Ruth was a Moabite, a people who had a troubled relationship with Israel. Yet God included her in the lineage of David and Jesus. No matter where we come from, what mistakes we've made, or what others think of us, God can use us for his purposes when we turn to him in faith. Finally, God sees and rewards noble character. Boaz noticed Ruth not because of her beauty or status, but because of her character, her faithfulness, her hard work, her devotion to Naomi. "All the people of my town know that you are a woman of noble character," he told her. In a world obsessed with outward appearances and instant success, God values the content of our character and the faithfulness of our hearts. This entire story is found in the Book of Ruth, chapters 1 through 4. Key verses include Ruth chapter 1, verses 16 through 17, where Ruth makes her declaration of loyalty. In Ruth chapter 2, verses 11 through 12, Boaz acknowledges Ruth's faithfulness. Ruth chapter 3, verse 11 records Boaz calling Ruth a woman of noble character. Ruth chapter 4, verses 13 through 17 tell of the birth of Obed and the restoration of Naomi. And in Matthew chapter 1, verse 5, Ruth is mentioned in the genealogy of Jesus Christ. The entire book of Ruth is only 4 chapters long and can be read in about 15 to 20 minutes, but its message resonates through the ages. Loyalty, kindness, and faithfulness to God are always rewarded, often in ways more wonderful than we could ever imagine. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God. These words of Ruth remind us that true devotion, whether to God or to those we love, is never wasted. God sees, God remembers, and God redeems. Thank you so much for watching this inspiring story. If this blessed you or touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful Bible stories every week. Your support helps this message reach more people. God bless you richly.